Okay. Yeah, we're here most days, so shouldn't be a problem. Let me make sure, so just so you guys know, this is, the reason I've got a headset on is I am recording this, but none of you guys are being recorded, and none of your voices are being recorded. And so if it seems strange, I'm going to be repeating questions that you might have, just so for the benefit of the camera, so that if there's any parents who wanted to hear this, hi buddy. If there's any parents that weren't able to connect, they're still able to hear the things that we're talking about today. And in the past, we've had challenges with when we've recorded parent meetings. It's put a damper on people's comments and things. So I don't want you guys to feel in any way self-censored. So know that you will not be featured at all on the recording. So let me just get up and make sure that it is recording. Okay, yes, we're good. Trying to, where are you? That's not Mars. What is that? Hey Tracy, where are you? I know, but what's your location? What is it? Oh, Lake Powell. Okay. Okay, so I guess we might as well get started since it's 12 o'clock, and I want to make sure that I respect your guys' time. So first of all, welcome to our first parent Zoom meeting. I actually am kind of excited because I think once this crisis is over and once we're back to normal, I think this is actually going to be a pretty good way for us to meet. So in the future, Zoom won't be 100% free, and we'll have to actually get one license won't hurt us. So I think we'll get the one license, but either that or we'll keep our meetings to 40 minutes. That will force us to get them done with quickly. So thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you guys can all hear me. I'm using my headset here because we're recording this, and anyone who's joined us recently know that you don't have to worry about being on camera or having your voice on camera if there's anything personal or private that you want to talk about, or if you're just generally a shy private person. So if you do have questions, I'll be repeating the questions just for the benefit of the camera and for any parents who weren't able to connect with us today. So so I guess let's start. Let me start first of all, since I don't want to forget to do this. I want to thank the parents, and in particular, I think it's Tammy and Tracy were the ones who actually did the shopping and bought all the goodies for the staff. Super unexpected, and the teachers were so excited, and I love the fact that it wasn't just the teachers, that all of the staff, there was enough goodie bags for all of the staff, and so all of the staff felt loved. So thank you so much for the parents who donated, and to Tracy and Tammy for putting that together. Oh, you can't hear me?
No.
Oh, let me. Okay, I'll switch. So I just switched microphones. Does that sound better? Okay. Okay. So do I need to thank the parents again, or did you at least hear that? Okay. want to make sure you get your just recognition. So I guess the other thing that I want to kind of make a general comment about is this is such a tough time for everybody, and I want you guys to know that we really appreciate the challenge the challenge that you as a family are, challenges that you as a family are going through, and especially your children who, you know, teenage years are hard enough, and to throw COVID in there and not being able to see their friends, and school is now virtual, it's got to be so stressful for the kids. And know that everything that we're doing, we're trying really hard to be as supportive as possible to the students, and that you know, even the kind of the way that we've set up the school with having most of it kind of feel as normal and natural as possible, with us actually going from class to class to try to have students maintain that kind of that normalcy as much as possible, has all been designed to try to support these kids as much as possible through this time. And so, you know, do let us know about the frustrations that you guys are having. You don't have to do it here in this public meeting, but do let us know about the frustrations that you're having so that we can try to make adjustments on our end. But for the most part, I've been really pleased with how the students have adapted to this. It's interesting, some kids, this is like, their life hasn't changed at all. They used to play video games all the time, and they're still playing video games all the time. And so those are the lucky kids, and the ones who are the ones who are spending less time online and more time with you know, physical interactions with their friends. Those are the kids that are really struggling. So I wasn't sure if that was a question. So let's talk a little bit about what kind of our plan is for next year. I think for all of us, we hope that we can get back to normal as soon as possible, and but we also have to be realistic and know what is going to be possible. And so for us, even if so let's say we got best case scenario, and all of San Diego is open and all schools are open, there's still, we're very aware of the fact that there's going to be many parents who are going to be super nervous about sending their kids to school. And so we can't just assume that everything's going to go back to 100% normal, even in the best case scenario. And so regardless of what next year looks like in terms of what we're allowed to do, we're pretty certain that there's going to be some kind of hybrid model where we're going to have some students here at school and some students at home. And the most likely scenario is that that's going to be forced upon us, where there's, because of social distancing, we can only have a certain number of kids here on campus at a time. And so that means that sometimes the kids would be here at school and sometimes the kids would be at home. And we're very aware that in some situations, in some special circumstances, maybe the kids are going to be here 100% of the time, and maybe they're going to be at home 100% of the time, depending on each family's circumstances and situation. And so, for example, we've got kids who, you know, parents are working, and they're going to be forced to go back to work, and there's just no way that their kids can be at home. And so in that situation, the kid would probably be here with us every day. And we're going to have other situations, like I explained earlier, where we've got kids whose parents are going to be nervous about sending their kids into potentially harm's way, or nervous about bringing you know, the virus back into their own homes. And maybe we've got people at home who are maybe older families, grandparents or something like that they're worried about getting sick. In which case they'd be nervous about sending their kids to school to potentially transmit that virus back home. And so in that situation, those kids would probably be 100% online. And so our goal is to make the online experience as good or as close to being as normal as the at-school experience. And so to that end, right when this started, we spent a lot of time looking for video conferencing solutions that would actually work really well in the classroom. And we came up with this really cool system called the OWL. It actually kind of looks like an owl, and it's a video conferencing system that has a 360-degree camera, and it will automatically zoom in on whoever's talking. It will split screen and show the multiple people that are talking. And so one of the biggest benefits here is that this owl can be kind of, wouldn't be exactly in the center of the room, but kind of 2/3 or a third into the room, so that it can actually film the teacher if the teacher's up on the board doing anything on the board, but then also still be able to pick up each of the students that are in the classroom as well. And so we've got one of these that we've been testing out, and it's a really, really neat system. It feels completely natural. The people that are online, it actually feels like they're there in the classroom. And the people that are in the classroom, it's not, I'm sure you guys have probably experienced a situation where you've got somebody on a conference call, and now suddenly everyone's screaming into into the phone to try to get their attention or to have them be able to hear, and now suddenly the person who's remote actually now becomes the most important person in the classroom, or the most important person in the meeting. And so with the OWL, it's got a really good microphone system and a really good speaker system, so it feels really natural to continue just normal conversations, and the people that are remote can hear everything that's going on. And so we're imagining that we're going to have some staff that are going to have their own challenges in terms of being on campus or being at home. And so we've got staff who have newborn babies. We've got staff who have older people, individuals that live with them that they're nervous about. And so, so this hybrid system is sometimes the teacher's going to be in the classroom, sometimes the teacher won't be in the classroom. We'll always have somebody in the room, so we're not going to leave the kids unattended. So we will have people in the classroom, adults in the classroom. But the teacher of record may actually just be on the big TV, and it's actually interesting that there's when I watch some of these some of our teachers deliver their lessons, they are so you know, their presence is so commanding that even them not being in the room, I'm thinking that it might actually improve classroom discipline, because now we've got this big, 3 foot by 3 foot head instead of being in the normal size. So I think for the most part, this system is going to be. I think it's going to be we're making the most of the situation, and I think it's going to be something that is going to feel natural for the students who are here, and then also natural for the students who are at home. And like I said before, most likely there's going to be a split here where we're going to have half the students here and half the students at home on any given day. And so kind of the schedule that we're thinking about right now is Mondays and Thursdays would be one set of students who are on campus, and then Tuesdays and Fridays would be another set of students on campus, with Wednesdays being a day when everybody is at home, and except for the few students who absolutely have to be here because of their home situations. And so that's kind of what we're envisioning. One thing that people have not really recognized unless they've been doing either following education or been involved with trying to teach students all day, is this really is a big burden on the teachers in terms of like always being on and always being connected with the students. And so the idea of having the Wednesdays where everybody is off is to give the teachers a little bit of a chance to prep for their classes and make sure that they're still delivering good content and they're not burning out. And so many of the other school districts are following a similar model. People have been talking about Fridays off. We're nervous about people taking Fridays off because that sounds like a 3-day weekend to students, I think. So we're thinking Wednesdays off. So any questions or thoughts based off of that? Does this sound like something that would work with your guys' family situations, and once you're back at work? And can you imagine this kind of situation working? Yeah, go ahead. Hi. Yeah. Thank you. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Let me just pause you real fast and respond to that. So first of all, for the benefit of the recorded session, so the comment was made that with online, sometimes the amount of work seems to increase because teachers aren't really aware of the amount of time that it takes the students to work on things, and so they wind up giving them more things to work on. And so I appreciate that comment, and I've heard that from our own students too, and so thank you for bringing that to our attention even more. I think yeah, I'm teaching a class right now, and I can tell you that one of the challenges is that without that student feedback, it's really hard to get the student feedback. And so kind of the natural instinct when you're lecturing is just to go. It's like, oh shoot, I've already covered that, now I've got to cover this. And so we wind up going through the material so much faster than you normally would when you're actually stopping and you're finding out it's like, oh, they don't really understand that, so we need to go back. And so I think that's kind of a natural thing that happens when there's that disconnect between the teacher and the students. And so I'm hopeful. So I don't know if you guys saw my email about the tape on the cameras. I really want to try to get to the point where we're able to have all students have their cameras on, so we can at least see some sense of, if it's a blurry image, we can at least see their faces, and we can at least see a nod, and we can kind of get some kind of indication that the kids are actually there and participating, because it's really hard when you're just talking to a bunch of names. And so I think that'll help a little bit, but I'll certainly make sure that the teachers get that message. Yeah, Tracy? Your mic's on. Off. Alt-A. If you hit Alt-A, Tracy. There you go. Okay.
Deb had her hand raised just over there.
So the idea is that they would still be connecting to their same class. So they'd still be we'd be back to kind of a more normal schedule. And so they'd still be going from class to class. And the other half of their peers would be in class getting direct instruction. But it would be not the same direct instruction that happened the previous day. We'd still be, every day is school, except for Wednesdays. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so all the Mesa classes are actually going to be online. So Mesa's already said that. So I guess not all. So English 101, the one that we're delivering here, that one's going to be online, and then probably all the classes that our students would be taking would be online. There's special lab classes and things like that would not be. Yeah, can I hold off one sec, Tammy? So Deb had her hand up earlier. I just want to make sure I recognize her. There we go.
Yeah, so I understand the challenge though, balancing, like you don't want to put too much responsibility on the students and like make their life hard, but I think we should also pose it to them as an opportunity to like build some of these skills that they're going to need when they're in college.
Just so you guys know, my batteries just died on my headset, of course. So, your voices are all being recorded now. So please do, if you want me to mute you when I actually put this up on YouTube, just let me know, and I'll make sure I take out your part. So yeah, so it's interesting. So online school has been. For some students, it's actually a better education for them because they're already kind of independent learners, and so we've got this new challenge as educators where we want to make sure that the ones who really like being independent, we kind of let them go and learn as much as you possibly can, and we're not holding them back. And so to your point, we certainly want students to be able to, we want to teach them how to be able to read on their own and do all that kind of thing, but at the same time we've got to be aware of the ones who just won't do it because nobody's telling them to read. And so that's always kind of the challenge for us as educators is to be able to capture both kinds of student and to support them. But I certainly hear your point that this is a really good time to encourage the independence that is so super important. And one of the things that I do, at least in my class, and when I've had one-on-one conversations with the kids, is to try to get them to realize that this is, you know, this is they shouldn't be doing this for their teachers. They shouldn't be doing this for their parents. They should be doing this for themselves. And because I'm still having conversations with kids about, hey, grades aren't supposed to matter. How come I have to do work? It's like, come on, guys. Why would you sit there for 3 months and do nothing? Why not take advantage of this time and take advantage of all the extra time that we all have now, and just learn. So we certainly want to encourage that as much as possible. So Tammy, sorry I interrupted you earlier.
You're fine. I just have a question. So if you have Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday off, and then a different group of kids on Thursday, Friday, if you had siblings, like a family of kids, would you schedule them on the same days?
So there's
that way moms and dads aren't like a taxi service?
Yeah, no. So we're certainly aware of that, and I want you guys to know that this is a scheduling nightmare for us to try to make this work. And really what I'm going to do, I think, in terms of instead of trying to balance all the classes and try to like make the magic work ahead of time, we're just going to see what happens and then make adjustments from there. But certainly we don't want parents to have to do the double driving. And just so you know, it's Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, so we wouldn't have back-to-back school days. We have there be a break in between. So but yeah, so certainly the parents who have multiple kids, we try really hard to make sure that you're not, well, your kids would not be coming every day.
Well,
you would not be coming every day.
Yeah. That doesn't apply to you next year, Tim.
I know, I'm down to one next year, but I'm just thinking about parents who do have multiple kids who may not be on this meeting right now, that's something we need to think about as a school.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good question.
Yeah. And so it's frustrating for me, so I'm just thinking about whatever my kids' schools wind up doing. So I've got 3 kids, and they're in carpools, and so are the carpools going to be considered as well? And it's going to be, it's all this, whenever you come up with something like this, it always sounds much easier when you first present it, and then you start looking at the details in it, and it gets more complicated. But that's the good thing about us being a relatively small school. I think we'll be able to adapt.
And Dr. McCurdy, will we be going back to the 8 to 3:15 to 3 o'clock schedule?
So it's going to be
full-time?
Yeah, it's going to be because definitely the kids that are here, we're going to want them on the full schedule. I don't think parents are going to want to come at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock to come pick up their kids, and so we might wind up having some kind of flex time, have shorter classes with the flex time. That's one thing that's interesting to me is just how much our educational model is going to change based off of the experiences that we've had here, and so perfect example here is the fact that we're having this Zoom meeting with parents. I think this is going to work really well going forward. And I know that the flex time, the teachers really like it. They really like the fact that they can connect one-on-one with the students, and hopefully are kids taking advantage of it, or do they think school's over at 12? I'm not really sure.
Hey, Dr. McCurdy,
Yeah.
the other, this is me.
Yeah.
The other thing that parents need to know or think about is that everything we do is all about classroom minutes. So unless the state comes and changes the amount of minutes the kids or hours the kids have to spend in a school year, we're actually governed by X amount of minutes the kids have to be in class. So the schedule that we're on right now is kind of a special schedule. But when we get back in August, we're going to have to be looking at that. And actually, within the next couple of weeks, we have to give San Diego Unified our schedule, which they count every minute.
Yeah, go ahead, Anna.
McCurdy, I have a question. So we've been talking a lot about, kids coming back to school, but my question is if you plan for extra support for those students who are struggling, and apparently this huge distraction that happened with staying home, going off the schedule, emotional toll that many students are experiencing. Are you planning for some additional resources to support those students in the coming semester? Because
So if we wind up in a situation where we're virtual only, we know that there's changes that have to happen. So I think there's a couple of really good things that have happened so far. One is the fact that we started before spring break, and we had that 1 week before spring break. That gave us a chance to try some things and to understand better where the challenges were with both teaching and also with learning from the student's perspective. And that allowed us to adapt. And I think having this only be a quarter of the school year with this second experiment and not be an entire school year has also been helpful. And so if we're 100% online next year, if we get forced into that situation, we're not going to be able to do exactly the same thing we're doing now, because we know that there's kids that they're not connecting at all, and we reach out to them and they say that they're going to connect and then they don't, and so they've got their own issues at home that are preventing them from doing school. And so my real hope is that we're going to be in some kind of hybrid model where those kinds of kids who have need that extra attention, we can actually have them here on campus 100% of the time, so that we can make sure that they are getting supported the way that they need to be supported. It's a tough challenge, though, for the ones who are not. If we're not able to bring them here on campus, or their parents don't want them to come on campus, it's really, really tough to find ways to support them, especially when we can't even communicate with them ourselves. And so there's going to have to be a lot of working with parents and things like that. So certainly if people have ideas for how we can better support students, if you happen to have one of those children yourself, please do let us know, because we're all kind of scrambling. When I say all schools, all educators are trying to scramble and figure out how we can support that kind of student. Any other questions? Yes.
I've got a couple of things I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, go ahead, Charles, and then Sandy, you'll be next.
So Mr. McClendon was just talking about the state mandated minutes. I know that's there.
Mm-hmm.
If we're online, though, that's a big problem with screen time. I mean, I know I already mentioned it to you, but if they're required to put in 6 hours a day for state minutes, and they're on their computer the whole time, then they're given multiple hours of homework.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a lot of time on the computer, and hurting their eyes and just not giving them any breaks, because they don't go out between classes or anything. They just sit there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that was it was actually one of your comments that prompted us to switch to the schedule that we were on now, and so you know, if we're still in COVID crisis mode, the nice thing is that we actually do have flexibility in terms of what we're doing, and so the minutes that we're reporting to the state right now for next year, we're, you know, I basically said, no, let's just do our, you know, assuming that everything's back to normal and we're back in physical school, those are going to be the minutes that we report. But we're obviously going to have to make some adjustments depending on what's actually beneficial for the students and what and how they're learning. And we do have a little bit of flexibility too in terms of the allocation of those minutes. We won't in normal times, we don't have very much flexibility at all, but certainly now we have some flexibility. But I think even going back to a regular traditional schedule, we may decide that splitting up the days into flex time and classroom time, we might decide that actually does make sense. The challenge that we have with flex time on normal school days is that there's so many distractions, and so when kids are here and their friends are possibly not working because they've decided that flex time means they don't have to work, then that inertia kind of spreads throughout the entire student body, and so it's easier for us to say flex time when the kids are all apart and you guys are managing whether or not they're doing schoolwork or not. But when they're here and they've got friends and distractions, the kids outnumber us, and so it's much harder for us to manage that when they're here.
And as I think Patricia was bringing up, it's kind of what I would call the workload. One of my kids, I mean, you know who they are, one of them said that the workload is potentially more than it was before. And I don't know if it is the workload is more or if the lost classroom time to do the work is making it that way. I've heard of a lot of distractions in getting classes starting. 20 minutes to get everybody into the Zoom meeting and settle down to get it started, things like that. So I know it's a tough thing to do at this age.
Yeah.
Also I think this is what you're considering the flex time, the ability to get to the teachers when they need help. Maybe that's there during the flex time and they're not utilizing it, but it's harder to get one-on-one help online than it is if they were at school.
So yes and no. So that's actually one of the things that the teachers have reported has been amazing about being online, is that one-on-one connection actually feels it's much easier to create those opportunities. And so I think we probably need to do a better job at making sure that the kids are taking advantage of those opportunities and doing more of a kind of a pull from the teachers instead of a push from the kids, to kind of like encourage them, because the kids are always hesitant to ask for questions, and they always, it depends on the kid. Like some kids don't want to bother adults, and so I think we probably need to do a better job at identifying which kids need to be pulled and say, hey, guess what? We're going to have a one-on-one meeting because I want to help you with your essay, because otherwise that might not happen for the ones who are nervous about asking for help. So,
right.
but I hear your point. Thank you. Sandy, you had your hand up earlier, and then Jeanette, we'll go to you. You're muted, Sandy. Alt A. Oh, she's running.
I guess she's running.
I think she must be running to get help.
How do I do this?
I got a new phone here, so I'm lost, sorry.
Oh.
That was the problem, I was late. I apologize, I was late too, because we had to figure out if my was gonna work, so sorry about that. Okay, I've got it working now. Is it working now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good. Okay, I wanted to say thank you very much for your after-school help. I think that's been very helpful for Robbie and all the issues we've had here lately. And you guys have helped him a lot, and I really, really appreciate that. I missed the beginning, so I don't know. When is the start date? You said August?
So we're not gonna, so we are fortunate in that the students are earning credit right now, and so you might be reading news about people starting school in July and stuff like that. That's for the students who need recovery because they haven't been in school right now. So we are not expecting to have any school during the summer other than summer school for credit recovery. And so school will start, I can't remember what it is, McClendon, you remember what the actual date was? It's usually the week before Labor Day. So
Okay.
end of August.
Okay, that sounds good.
August 24th.
Okay, we just have a lot of things going on this summer, and I was hoping I'd at least have a month or two, so that works out awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if everybody heard me say that.
Yeah, there.
August 24th.
Yeah.
Jeanette, you're up next.
First off, I just want to say the schedule in the fall will work for Kayla because I do already work from home, so I can get her wherever I need to go. When they do go back those 2 days, are you going to have to do a temperature take when they walk in the door? Have you guys discussed that? Because that's happening everywhere, as you know.
Yeah.
And
So mass and temperature, and students are going to have to wear masks. If they don't, then they'll be sent home. So
they'll have to wear a mask during class and everything.
that's my guess. I can't imagine that the guidelines would not be that, but.
And that's going to be part of the difficulty with high schoolers, because of course they know everything and they know a lot more than we do, and they don't need the mask according to them. But social distancing is definitely going to be difficult. That's why Dr. McCurdy was saying that it's not going to be a suspension, but we'll just have to send kids home who aren't adhering to the policies that are going to be set by the state in San Diego Unified.
Okay, so you're gonna have the desks 6 feet apart to go with the guidelines, and only so many kids in the classroom at a time, and
Exactly.
That's the reason for the split school.
Gotcha.
One of the reasons for the split school, so we only have half the students there.
And then I know my daughter said that most people are during passing time.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
we've
reevaluate the start times and.
yeah.
track
So
that.
we've actually so we're not 100% there yet in terms of what we're thinking, but just like in the grocery store where you've got the arrows in the hallways and things like that. So we'll have
Okay.
very specific rotations that have to happen, and so it might be weird. You might be walking all the way around the entire school in order to get to your classes right next to you, but we'll have one-way arrows and utilize both staircases, and those staircases will be one way. So one will go up and one will go down.
Gotcha.
And then we were already planning on handling the bathroom situation a little bit differently as well. So we'll make sure that the bathrooms there's only so many kids that are allowed to go to the bathroom at a time. So that's the main reason behind having fewer kids is it's easier to manage when you've got fewer kids on campus.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Yeah.
And there is much more homework at home. We've come across that, and Kayla got behind on like 7 assignments in one class, and the teacher reached out to me, which I appreciate, and it took her hours and hours and hours, but we got her all caught up with a tutor online.
Okay.
So, and it's quite different. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, we'll certainly make sure that the teachers are hearing this message. So the interesting thing is that from my perspective, when the first time that I heard that students were busy, I was like, oh, phew, because I thought they were all home doing nothing. So I don't want them overly stressed for sure, but it is nice to know that they're still learning, and it's really, for me, when I stop in a class and I watch the classes, I know how much you guys. That's one nice thing that you guys can actually spy on the classes and see what's going on. I've been really impressed with what the teachers are doing with the kids for the most part, and it looks like real school, which is pretty neat. Any other questions? Yeah, Tammy?
Instead of looking at it as a bad thing right now, we also can look at it as this is the moment for our kids to step up and learn how to advocate for themselves and pick up, whether it's picking up a cell phone and sending a text message or emailing their teacher saying, hey, I'm lost, I'm overwhelmed. And maybe it's not even a question about school, but maybe emotionally they need to advocate for themselves. Like, I'm drowning here, I'm overwhelmed, I need some support. And knowing that they have that support on the other side.
Yeah. And so the other thing too is I think this right now is a very different experience than what we're going to see if this is a long-term situation and we're, you know, all next year this is the way school works. Because right now I think there's, you know, the kids are getting the mixed messages. Some of their friends are at schools where they're doing nothing, and so they're getting messages from their peers that are saying, oh, grades don't matter. And I think once this becomes, unfortunately, a more normal, then I think we're going to see that I mean, there's very few people who like to do nothing. And learning is something that, if we can find a way to make it interesting for the students, then it's going to be something that they want to do. That very first day that we had virtual school, I had no idea. I was like, are we going to get 10 kids showing up? Are we going to get half of our kids showing up? And the fact that, you know, just 2 days of doing nothing all weekend long, they were so desperate to see their friends, and we had almost 100% attendance on that first Monday, which was pretty darn cool. And so I think for the most part, students want to learn, and they want to be doing something useful with their lives, and so that's our job as educators, is to make them see that the things that they're learning at our school are useful.
All right.
Is there a way to maybe encourage peer-to-peer support, especially like over summer when we have students that need to make up credit? I know that there are plenty of students that would be happy to do something like that, to receive, you know, their volunteer hours, all of that kind of stuff. Do we have plans to implement something like that?
So we do have seniors right now who are involved in tutoring other students, and traditionally we've done that, but there was a special outreach done to some of our seniors to make sure that they were helping some of our kids, not just with schoolwork, but also just with, you know, emotional concerns. But I hadn't thought about that over the summer, so that's actually a really good idea to make sure that we're still supporting the kids over the summer.
I wonder if we can, if it might be a good idea to have the neuros group look into that, because there should be a number of non-seniors that could probably help out.
Yeah. Carrie, are you writing anything down by any chance? Could you just write down that note? Thanks. Lots of good ideas coming up here. One thing that I've discovered is that it's really hard to multitask and to like watch chat threads and to see the 20 faces that are on here and talk at the same time. So I'm not very good at it. So if you're like wondering why something that you commented on didn't actually get executed on, please send me an email.
Just that.
Are you going to set up a time for the kids to return their laptops prior to the end of school, or what were you thinking of that? Keeping them if they're coming back next year?
Yeah, so normally we don't retrieve laptops. We used to, and we realized, like, how come we spend so much time fighting kids to get their laptops, and then we have to like move them from room to room as we're trying to clean the school, and then we give them back to the kids on the very first day of school. So we actually don't collect laptops anymore unless the kids are leaving. So.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Unless you're a senior.
Unless you're a senior.
Then you better get that computer
Yeah,
back.
you have to give it back.
When are the seniors going to be turning stuff in?
So before they graduate, before they get their diploma.
Okay, that's helpful.
So no, but seriously. So if they want their diploma, then everything has to be turned in.
That makes sense.
All right. So and the diploma that gets received on the day of graduation is never the real diploma. So there's a real diploma that gets printed and signed afterwards, and so usually within 2 or 3 weeks after graduation is when the actual diploma comes in. So.
What are you getting into, though?
What was that? parent talking to, I think a parent talking to a dog. That's what I'm gonna guess.
Like talking to her dog.
Okay.
I have another set parent here with me that her daughter will be a freshman at our school.
Oh, cool.
The dog decided, he needed attention.
I see.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Curious about this, the policy, I'm not very familiar with it, but the grades won't be affected because of the online. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the policy that we're taking in our school, so I sent an email about this right around spring break, and so I'll re-forward that to you just so you can see the written thing in case what I'm saying doesn't encompass everything. So basically, the grades cannot go lower, but they can go all the way down to a no grade, is the policy that we've adopted at our school. And so the reason for that is I think San Diego Unified made a mistake by saying, oh, grades can't go any lower, because that means kids who are happy with their C or happy with their B or happy with their A don't have to do anything for this entire 3-month period. And so ultimately, in high school, so what really matters is the education that the kids are getting and the credits that they're earning. And so it does no good to give somebody a false grade in algebra, for example, and then have them set up completely for failure in geometry because they haven't learned any algebra. And so the idea of just passing them without actually them learning the material doesn't make any sense. And so, so what we're doing is we don't want this COVID experience to hurt the kids in terms of their GPA, but we also want to acknowledge that a grade that if they haven't learned the material, they need to retake the class so that they can actually learn that material. And so that's what the no grade is. So it doesn't hurt them on their report card, but it does. They won't get credit for the class, so they need to retake that class. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that, because as I shared with you emailing, I am a little concerned because both of my kids struggle with paying attention, and this platform isn't the easiest to pay attention on.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey Rob, so I have a really easy and cheap solution for the attention thing. There is a Chrome extension called Productivity Owl, and you can actually set certain websites as you can absolutely not go on that website from this time to this time, and it'll also only give you a certain amount of time on a website that you haven't pre-designated as okay during certain times. So I use this for work because I am a late diagnosed ADHD person, and so I really had to figure out what was going to work for me, and that's one of the things that's really helped.
Productivity out.
Yeah.
All right,
and
thank
it's
you.
free. Yeah.
Nice.
And then for the parent who is worried about screen time and like eye stuff, there's a website called Zenny.com that has really cheap glasses that you can add a blue light blocker to. I think for Finn's glasses, we only spent about $20, and they're stylish and they're blue blocking, no prescription.
Cool. Thank you. Diane, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I was wondering, as it pertains to this paying attention, is there any reason why it's not required that the kids use cameras and have their cameras on? Because I was really impressed. I mean, I should have started by commending you, as others have, on how quickly you guys pivoted. And I agree that after the 2-week break, the engagement as I walked through the room was amazing. Like, all the kids had their cameras on. They really seemed to be interacting, at least for my student. That's no longer the case so much, and he says he doesn't turn his camera on because no one else has turned their cameras on, and it would just seem like it's a good way to take roll. It's a good way to make sure they're paying attention. Why aren't we requiring that they have their cameras on?
Yeah, so let me speak to that. So it's certainly something that where we as a staff we go crazy when we just see a bunch of names and no faces. It's really hard to, one of our goals through this whole experience was to promote engagement and community, and we're not getting that when we don't have the cameras on. The problem, and so I've been fighting, trying to figure out a solution to this. The problem is that with Zoom and with Google Meet and all these platforms, there's no way there's no way to know whether somebody is looking at you or not. So for example, I could double click on your picture right now and I could just be staring at you and not looking at anyone else. And so there's this kind of weird stalking kind of thing that makes people uncomfortable. And I think most of the kids, especially once, if you've got 25 kids in there, then there's like, okay, they're probably not looking at me, right? But as the numbers started to dwindle, my daughter she actually started a couple weeks after we started, and I was telling her about how frustrating it was that kids didn't have the cameras on, and so she was like adamant, was like, no, I'm going to keep my camera on. And she lasted a week, but it feels really weird when you're the only kid that has the camera on and everyone else doesn't, because then you know that you're the target and you know that everyone's watching you. And so anyway, the solution that I want to try to, right now the problem is that nobody has Scotch tape at home. But the easy solution here is the double-sided Scotch tape, put it over the camera, put your fingerprint on it, and then you get a nice blurry image that makes it so that you've got the presence. Doesn't matter if your hair is messed up, doesn't matter if your room is a disaster in the background, nobody can really tell, but we can tell that you're there. And we can get enough, you can see the smile, you can see the head nodding. And so that's going to be the solution. So for a long time I was like, okay, I'm a software guy, so I was like, all right, this is easy, just put a filter on these. But then there's all the different kinds of cameras. All the different kinds of computers and the iPhones and the Androids and all these other mechanisms that people are using to connect. And so then I realized, like, oh, a piece of tape does the trick. And so today in my class, I had 3 students who had some tape on their cameras, and unfortunately the normal Scotch tape that's super cloudy, that one you can barely see anything through it. So it does require a trip to the store. So it's going to take us a couple weeks before everyone goes to the store and buys the right kind of Scotch tape, or maybe we have to buy the tape and leave it out here on the tables here so people can stop by and pick it up. But it really does work well. So
and I assume all the set provided laptops have cameras, right? So not having a camera.
So yes and no. So there's a collection of them that didn't.
I see.
Yeah. But everyone's got a phone, and a lot of the kids use their phone. So there is a solution. And then for the other neat thing about the blurry image is that it takes up less bandwidth when you're sending a blurred image than a crisp image. And so for people who are worried about bandwidth usage, yeah, solves that problem. Tammy.
Do we have any information on summer school for students yet?
We are going to have it. We're still trying to figure out what we need to do in order to support it for all students, and so I'm not quite ready to announce it yet. But
I was just curious.
yeah, so so the Edgenuity platform, which a lot of schools use for their curriculum, it's 100% online. There are credit recovery classes that you can take that assume that you've already gotten the bulk of the material, and now this is just, the kid didn't quite learn enough or didn't quite do enough work. So it's not designed to replace an entire class. It's designed to augment a knowledge that the kids have already had, and so that would be what we'd be offering during summer. So it's not. Sorry, let me just say one more thing. So it's not. The intent is not to have it be get ahead, take this class instead of taking classes, because I don't think that the education is nearly as good with this program.
So what if you have that student that's what they want to do?
To get ahead?
I have a student who wants to go ahead and take English 12 this summer and get it done, so it's less stress next year when he goes back to school. So
we'll have to look and see what the English 12, because there is a credit recovery version of the class, and so we'll have to look at it. We've mostly been focused on the credit recovery versions of it.
And I can talk to you one-on-one about that later.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah. Rob, I can't tell if these hands are still up or, so Rob and Diane, you both have your hands up.
Dr. McCurdy,
yeah.
log
Sorry.
off. I need to go teach.
All right, see ya.
Bye, guys.
Go ahead, Rob.
Bye.
Rob, go ahead.
You already answered my question. I
Okay.
don't know how to lower my hand. Sorry.
Okay, I'll lower it for you. And Diane, I'm going to lower yours.
Same for me, yes, we actually, for the first time, had our internet go out today.
Oh, wow.
So I think Lucas missed his last couple of period classes, so I'm on my cell phone and I couldn't figure out how to lower the hand on the app, sorry.
So Deb, is that a real hand or is that a?
Yes, that's a real hand.
Okay.
So, this is kind of related, kind of not. Did we look into UC Scout to see, like, what classes the students can take and if it has to be a certified teacher in that subject to take that class?
Yeah, so unfortunately you need to have, there's a lot more teacher engagement that is required than with Edgenuity. Edgenuity is like, basically it's press play and the kids are pretty much self-contained. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the education is good, but at least there's a mechanism that the kids can go through in order to get. We know for sure that they're getting all the material that they're supposed to be getting, and it's being taught as well. So it's not going to work for all kids, but we're gonna try it this year. And the main reason we're doing it is because there's the summer school programs that we used to send the kids to. They were basically just using Edgenuity, and so there's no reason to. We figure we can actually support the kids better because we know them, and if they have questions, we'll be able to actually support them. So we might as well use the program in-house. Any other questions from anyone? I'm happy to stay here all day, so don't worry. I'm not kicking anyone off. But if you feel like you've already heard enough and you want to leave, feel free to leave. Sandy, yeah.
Just a quick comment. Just
Okay,
a quick
bye, Jack.
comment. Is it my turn?
Yeah, we're just losing someone. I'm just
Okay.
saying goodbye to them. That's fine.
Okay. I just wanted to say thank you very much for all the teachers and everybody's help and time for everything you guys are doing. I think it'll help, I call him Robbie, but Robert a lot more this next year, so I think that'll be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Anna, your hands up.
Yeah, just one quick question. How can we get more information about summer school?
So we will give you lots of information once we're ready to give it to you. So just look for my emails.
We're still trying to iron out the kinks.
Yeah.
When do you guys plan on rolling this out to the students? Like, do they know?
About summer school?
Know about next year, this plan for next year?
So I'll probably have an all roar this week. It's a little bit of so one thing that I've noticed is that the kids don't read any of my emails at all. And this would be a long email to actually explain it and answer all the questions. And so there'd be no reason for me to send an email.
Don't take it personally. It's my experience. They don't read emails from anyone.
Yeah, I know. I've got to put it in emoji form.
We read it to them.
But anyway, so I'll probably have an all roar this week, but then the other challenge there is that we're only getting about half the kids showing up to the all roar, so there'll be plenty of kids who won't know about this. So do your part. Tell your kid.
Also, if I can ask, which you guys have already done this in leaps and bounds, but I think we all need to be flexible because we could come out with a plan and the state or San Diego Unified changes our plan in terms of they tell us what we have to do. So just know that every school is in this together, and just because we come out this week with an all roar saying that we're going to have 4 days a week of school, Wednesdays off, we could find out in 2 weeks that, ooh, now they won't allow us to do that. So we don't know, just
Yeah, let's,
do what you've been doing, be flexible.
yeah, and let's not use the word Wednesdays off, because Wednesdays are not off.
I misspoke.
If Wednesdays are off, then we're going to be working through the summer as well.
Yeah.
Got to get the minutes in. All right, anything else? All right, well, thank you, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us, and you know, feel free to shoot us emails if there's things that you think about that you're like, oh shoot, that's not going to work with me. Just shoot us an email. Happy to respond.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
So just checking
I was taking a look at the chat.
the chat.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was
'Cause
keeping
that's the
an eye.
problem. Once I hang up, then I lose the chat.
Right. Did you see that Deb said that she actually has been using the OWL with her classes, and it's awesome?
Oh no.
Or her like classes have been using it. Yeah, she said it's really cool. And then she asked me in a private. She asked me in a private message if we will give